Hello and welcome to the Kayden Gordon Show, today's best country mix. And joining me right here today is Michael Botte. Michael, how are you doing today?
Hey, doing fantastic. Kayden, brother, man. It's good to see you. I feel like we text, we chat, we do all these things. I don't talk to you enough. Thanks for doing this, brother.
Certainly, certainly. So, why don't you start by telling us a little bit about you and how you got started in music?
Okay. Well, so my name is Michael Botte. Grew up in a small little steel town along the Ohio River outside of Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania. Small bucolic town. Really great to grow up. Great place to live and grow up. Um, and as far as I lived around the country a little bit. After I went to college, I went to Penn State University, and after college, I kind of wanted to see what else was out there a little bit. So
Mm-hmm.
moved around the country and lived in different places, 4 different time zones around the country. And
Mm-hmm.
my family and I live outside of Philadelphia, Pennsylvania. So I went from one side of the state to the other side of the state. As far as music, how I got started, that's a great question. I remember as a kid, my father was always singing, just always
Mm-hmm.
singing. I felt like he sang more than he spoke.
Mm-hmm.
So growing up, there was always music around. He was involved in a lot of like musical theaters growing up. So I remember going to all these productions and things with him, the practices, the actual productions themselves. And I was just fixated, on the vocalist and the production and the music and the singing. It was just something that was so fascinating to me. And I remember sitting on the stage and thinking, wow, this is so cool. And productions like the big ones, Fiddler on the
Mm-hmm.
Roof and My Fair Lady and Sound of Music. And I will tell you this, Kayden, as a kid, knowing some of the lyrics to some of those songs did not make me the coolest kid on the block. but we worked through that. We worked through that. So he was also, the head of the local church choir.
Mm-hmm.
So we were singing in church, and then he was also a part of barbershop quartets, which is really challenging. A lot of a cappella, a lot of harmonizing. So singing was always around. Like, I guess that was my first instrument. Then I never really, started to play another instrument, the guitar, until probably about age 25, 26. My wife and I were just married. We were living in Madison, Wisconsin. And I thought, you know what? I'm married, things are new.
Mm-hmm.
I want to learn this thing called the guitar, right? So I went to the local pawn shop and grabbed the guitar. And Kayden, I thought if you just hit a couple strings and just
Mm-hmm.
stroke it gently, these angelic sounds were going to come out of the guitar. That is not how it works.
No, no.
So, I was young and frustrated, and we
Mm-hmm.
tried to hack on this thing, and it just didn't work out. So sadly, I threw it out of a second-story window.
Oh
That,
my lord.
yeah, that did not work out very well.
No, I highly doubt that.
Not work out. So that was my first go. Fast forward, maybe, I don't know, 6, 7 years later, I was living in Northern California, Oakland, California.
Mm-hmm.
And I met this cat named Sebastian Beltrami, who's one of my best friends to this day from Australia, who was traveling
Mm-hmm.
through. And so he taught me how to play guitar. And we were starting to do things and write some songs. And then he went back to Australia. That didn't work out. And then I met some other guys, and we started this kind of garage band. We were writing our own
Mm-hmm.
material, and we were kind of getting pretty good at it. But we were a garage band, Kayden, that never really wanted to leave the garage. So that didn't work out so well either. So then fast forward to really 2020 quarantine, really
Mm-hmm.
early 2020. As you know, the world kind of
Yeah.
shut down for a while, and I had a lot of time on my hands. And I remember my daughter. My daughter has been a drummer in bands for a long time.
Mm-hmm.
She was drumming in a few bands, and she said, "Dad, are you ever going to make music again?" And I thought, oh my gosh, what a time to do this. I have the time, right? So, amidst this, time of confusion and chaos and uncertainty, Kayden, I was desperate to like create something positive, something that I could hold and touch and feel and love. So I dusted off that old guitar and started, hacking on some of the songs I had written like 20 years ago. And they came out pretty naturally. And then all of a sudden I just started writing and wrote dozens of songs in such a short period of time. I guess Kayden, I had something to say and the time to say it. So I got some recording software, and I, made some demos, and finally sent a demo to who's now my producer, Bob Beals. And I think you and Bob
Mm-hmm.
chatted a little bit.
We did, yes.
Yeah, he runs a studio called Sound Foundation Studios. I sent him a demo, and I joke with Bob. I say, I sent you rock, this dirty rock. what he did was polish that rock into this like precious stone, and into this song that we call, New Rising Sun. And that's the song
Hmm.
that kind of introduced me and you, to be honest. And that's a song I wrote 20 plus years ago, but it just took on this new life. So we released that single weeks ago, maybe a couple months ago, late June, early July. So we just kind of started. That was our first single. And we've already, completed our second single. It's going to be called Here We Go. We're going to release that probably on November 1st. We've started our third single. So, Bob and I are just really moving along, and we're going to do things slowly, let songs breathe a little bit, learn from, understand, how they go, and move forward. So that's kind of, I guess, where I've been and where I am today.
That's fantastic. And I had a chance to listen to New Rising Sun. We've known each other for a little bit now. I've been helping you, get
Yep.
your song out there. And might I have to say, you and Bob nailed it.
Oh, I can't tell you how much I appreciate that. And I can't tell you, if Bob were here,
Hmm.
so much of that was him. If you heard the demo that I sent him, it was a decent demo, but like he just can polish these rocks into these precious stones. And what he sent me back, I'll never forget the first day I heard it. I thought, is that my song? Like, that's the song I sent you. I'm smitten with it. It's a song that's really near and dear to my heart. There's a big story behind it. So I'm so blessed to have Bob, and we're just going to keep going, slowly, but we're going to keep moving forward. So thank you for that. And your promotion work has helped a lot. I appreciate the hard work that you've done to help people like me.
My pleasure, my pleasure. And I'm just curious, how did you stumble across Bob?
So when I first started, in 2020, I was trying to learn.
Hmm.
I never recorded a thing in my life.
Hmm.
I'm the guy that wrote songs in the corner and like
Hmm.
play them and sing them, but no one ever really heard them ever. It was really challenging for me to allow people to hear what I had to say.
Hmm.
I remember an artist a long time ago. I read an article where they said that songwriting is open heart surgery. You're allowing people into your heart for whatever you felt at that moment or that time. And I just wasn't ready for that. So I thought, okay, 2020 now, it's time to start doing something. So I joined up all these different Facebook groups, and
Yep.
Facebook music groups. And Bob heard a couple of my demos on some of those groups, and he actually reached out to me, and he wanted to do another song called Hold On that I haven't done yet. And we went back and forth a little bit. And then I was like, hey, man, what do you think about this demo? And sent it to him. And
Hmm.
that's just kind of how it happened. We just kind of flirted around a little bit, and finally it was just time to do something. And thank God I found him, and thank goodness it was that first song. It's important to me.
You know what I find really interesting, Michael, is that that's how I kind of got my start too, was by joining Facebook radio groups.
Yeah, you learn, you live and learn.
Yeah,
People
you
who've been
learn from
doing
the
it.
people, right?
Yeah, you're a young, hardworking guy.
Hmm.
I'm a little bit older than you, but so
Yes.
I'm a little late to the games.
Hmm.
There's a lot of guys like you that are way ahead of me, so I had to learn pretty quickly. I had to learn
Hmm.
fast, and even learning how to record demos was a whole nother challenge. And just to make something listenable for like
Hmm.
someone like Bob can actually hear my vision or
Hmm.
vision a little bit, and then bring that to reality. It was humbling, truly humbling. But yeah, it was over Facebook groups. Yeah.
Yeah. Did you have a chance to meet Bob, or was this all online?
We video called and spoken
Oh,
to.
okay.
He lives 7 hours from me, so we send.
Oh, yeah. Hmm.
I'm in outside of Philly, and he's
Hmm.
in Ohio, and so we send things back and forth and video call,
Hmm.
talk and chat. We're always doing something together. So unfortunately, no, but we did agree that so we've already started. So the second song, Here We Go, is already done. I got the master tapes; it's all done. The next song, Leave This Town, that's the vocals are done. But we agree that the fourth song we're going to do, hopefully, I'll have the chance to travel to Ohio and actually do the vocals with him, and not here locally, but with him in his studio, which would just be a dream. So hopefully that's going to happen. We'll see.
Fantastic, fantastic. Do you have any advice to those who might want to start singing but doesn't really know how to get started?
As far as not necessarily just singing, but I guess just this whole music thing. And again, I've only learned a little bit in the last years, but I've learned it pretty quickly. When I first started, so I put out my debut EP is called Radiate. I don't even know if you've even seen it. It's out there. It's in the universe and Spotify and everything. And it was completely 100% self-produced, written, played, everything by me. At that time, I thought, you know what? I'm going to be this self-contained unit, unstoppable. I'm going to do everything myself and just take on the world, right? And I will say this, it's a respectable output. It is. However, when you compare that to something like Bob Beals makes, it just doesn't cut it. So my advice to people starting is, I know you're going to have all this energy and enthusiasm, and there are people who do 100% self-produce themselves, and that's wonderful. They are way more talented than me. What I've learned is for me to stay in my own lane. I want to write and play music. As far as the production, all that stuff, there are people who go to school who have done this for years. Bob's been in the business for 40 plus years. I'm gonna let Bob polish my rocks.
Yeah.
I'm gonna find the rocks, make the rocks, if you will, and polish the rocks. So my advice is, if you can find someone to work with, you got to collaborate, and it's only going to make you better. That's my advice.
Definitely. And with somebody like Bob coming into the picture, it just made it so much better.
I'm telling you, and he's been on stage. He's performed for thousands of people. He's been on both sides of the desk, if you will, the console. And now he finds makes his living by, producing and mixing and mastering. My goodness, the experience that he has, I can never, ever have translated that into my own. It's amazing. So I'm happy to send him my demos, and
there you go.
Let us do our magic together. Yeah.
So where can people find you on social media if they want to follow you and see what you're up to?
Yeah, I mean, the good news, and you know this, I mean, whenever someone wants to put out a song, you use a distributor. I use DistroKid, and they thankfully put you everywhere. So songs are on every streaming service that there is. I go by the Michael Botte Band. Spotify is what I typically focus on. However, people like to listen through, or however they like to listen to their music, I'm out there. Of course, I have a Facebook page, Michael Botte Band, a YouTube page, Michael Botte Band. But the streaming services, all of my songs are all over the place there. And that's, if you have the desire to go look, that's where you can find them.
Fantastic. And do you have a message to those who might be watching, listening, or anything like that, Bob? Michael?
It's funny, if you do listen to my music, it's funny that, like, my first EP, I guess I would call it more that kind of grungy kind of rock. I thought that's kind of where I was going to go. And then I was like, I want to do some hard rock stuff. So I did a couple of hard rock songs, one called Realm to Roam that was produced by a local guy here in near Philly. Another song called 1988, which is kind of in that country rock, which was produced by an engineer in Connecticut named David Vignola. So I kind of have stuff all over the place. So it might be a little confusing as to really what my song is. But it sounds like, based on the promotion work that you've been doing, and, New Rising Sun and 1988, and then the songs that we're working on, it just sounds like I'm going to be more in that country rock, kind of alt country rock world. That just seems to be where I've landed. It seems to be, like, lyrically where I land. The stories that people tell in those songs, amazing. I'm trying to tell those stories and learn how to tell those stories. So I think that's what you're going to find, is I'm going to be leaning more towards that kind of country, alt country, country rock theme, if you will.
There you go. Is there anything else that you want to share with us today?
Musically, there's something else I'm doing, and I'm kind of proud of this. There's another song out there. I released it. It's called Unrivaled, but I never promoted it. You've never seen it. You've never heard of it. So I went to Penn State University, like I said, and I am, for people who know me, and people are about to know, I'm a Penn State football maniac. I mean, it's in a couple weeks, Penn State football opens, and that's my time. So I wrote this song Unrivaled, and I thought, what can I do with this song? How can I help, give back to this university and this football program that's done so much for me? So I actually contacted an organization called upliftingathletes.org that raises money for people that have, suffer from rare diseases. And I contacted the program director, Brett Brackett, who happens to be a former Penn State football player. So long story short, he and I are going to use this song Unrivaled as a part of a charity campaign to help raise money for his organization. And I'm going to donate every penny made from it to his organization. So the song is called Unrivaled. It's very Penn State specific, but it's something that I'm very proud of, to work with him and work with his organization to try to raise money for folks who suffer from rare diseases. Yeah.
That's fantastic. Michael, thank you so much for taking the time to come on the Kayden Gordon Show, today's Best Country Mix. You're amazing, and keep up the good work.
Brother, I appreciate you. I respect you, and I will do this anytime you want, man.